Welcome to the Leaders Among Us. Today I have the privilege of interviewing an amazing person, Caryne Akinwade. She is an entrepreneur, she's a leader, she's a mentor, she's a soldier, she's a wife. She is a great friend, just someone that anything that you need, anything that you want, she's there. She's, I don't know what else I can say, but she's just an amazing person. And this is why I have the privilege of interviewing her as my first person here. So, Caryne, just please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me, Tracy. It's such an honor to be here. I do not take this privilege lying down. I'm so appreciative that you invited me to be here. I am Caryne Akinwade, like she said. I am a program manager by profession, but I'm an entrepreneur by birth. So growing up, I always saw my dad, I would accompany him to the store, and he would be like, oh, you have to come because that's where your tuition comes from. But yes, I'm an entrepreneur by heart, and I own Lathio Designs, which is a closet remodel business, and I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome, Caryne. So let's just jump into it and with our questions. So my first question to you, Caryne, is you have gone through some traumatic events in your life, rape as a teen and domestic abuse. How are you able to overcome this and to move on with life and to love again?
So I would say it was God because, or it is God, because at the time when I suffered sexual violation, right, and domestic abuse, I wasn't a Christian at that time. And so I suppressed it because that was the only way that I knew how to deal with it at the time. And so fast forward maybe 15 years later, when I got into a domestic abuse relationship and I felt trapped and, trying to figure out how to get out of it. In 2015, I became a born-again Christian, and even after the domestic abuse, I had to get like psychological help, but that did not exactly help me. And so, being a Christian and getting to know more about God, it's almost like that relationship with Him helped me a lot because I didn't even know when it went away, but I just knew that I had that peace, which I did not feel before. And it's kind of like the lepers, right? While they were on their way to give thanks. And that's kind of how God has been doing a lot in my life. Like when I'm busy serving Him, busy doing all these things, I suddenly realize that I have this peace and I can talk about all these things that I couldn't talk about. So I give God all the credit for, giving me that peace after going through all of this.
Wow. So you said that being able to overcome, like you went to a psychologist, and also like my question would be, because I've always wondered, is it God that really helped you get through this situation? Because I always wonder, a lot of people go to get psychiatric help, but do they really heal, or does it take God to be able to help with that healing journey?
Definitely. For me, it's always good to talk about something, and my own way of talking was talking to God. Some people chose that they want to talk to a psychologist, but me, my talking aspect was talking to God and, digging into His Word and getting that peace that only He can give.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. We thank God for that. So there's one thing I love about you, and it's just your passion for service. I just love how when you serve, especially when you're serving in church, you're doing it like as if it's your job and you're getting paid for it, but this is like really volunteer work. And I just love your heartbeat for God, your heartbeat for your service and passion, not only just in church, but also for your country. You're a soldier, you serve in the military, as well as in different organizations where you volunteer. What drives you to serve?
I think, honestly, even I'm surprised at how passionate I am about all these things that I do, serving in church, serving as a soldier, and also serving in DSF Inc., which is an organization that advocates for domestic violence. Right. So those are things that just come naturally to me. For serving in the kingdom, that's something that I'm just wired to do, and it's not necessarily because of a return. It's only because of how God is. Like if you know God, you would just want to serve him. You know, some people serve God because of the benefits that come with it. But me, I honestly serve just because.
Right.
And then for the army, it's one of those things, I wanted to be part of something that was bigger than myself. It was challenging, and I knew that it was going to be challenging. And I'm going to the army at the age where I'm almost 30 something plus.
Right.
You know, and so you usually have people come to the army when they're younger, and you know they have to get yelled at and all those orders. But that was definitely me doing something that I knew that was challenging, and I wanted to, you know, I knew that it was an opportunity for me to build myself.
Wow, that's amazing. We thank you for your service, Caryne. What is most important to you as a leader and a mentor, and how do you ensure that you accomplish that?
So for me as a leader, it would have to be self-awareness, knowing yourself. It has to be self-awareness and knowing yourself, because that's the only way that you can actually improve yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, you're going to constantly assess people around you based on the tendencies that you have, right? There are people who walk around assessing people based on maybe a rose-colored glass. You know, everybody is good, there's no problem. And then there are other group of people who assess people based on everything is worse, like worst case scenario, what's gonna happen. And then there's a group of people, you know, who believe that they cannot effect any change, and so they just walk into situations and leave it however they met it, you know. And so for me, being able to know myself is great, because that means I get to attract people that are similar to me. So if you know yourself, you attract the people that you want. So if you are working with a team, and the team, you have people who are reliable, dependable, you're attracting who you are. So for me, my first step is really just getting to know myself, because that's even how I know what I can give and what I can improve on, knowing my passion, knowing my purpose, knowing my strengths, knowing my weaknesses.
Wow, self-awareness. I remember that, because I think that's very, very important, as not only as a leader, but just as a person as well. Like, and I love how you mentioned the people that you attract based on your awareness of self. So I think that's great. Thank you. When it's all said and done, what legacy do you want to leave? I remember Miles Monroe said that he doesn't want his legacy to be in buildings or it to be a statue built of him, but on what he lives in, on the people whose lives he has touched. So what is your legacy when everything is all said and done?
Absolutely, I can totally relate to that, because that's part of my legacy too. I just want to be contagious, you know. I want to be able to help the people around me, and I like to see change and see things and change them. I usually say, if you are not going to change something, just don't complain about it. You know, if you're going to complain about it, make sure you have a strategy to actually change that thing, or just don't talk about it. So, and I always offer my time. You know, I feel like most of the people who are mentors or people who are around me, there's always somebody who knows something that you don't know. So I always offer my time. If you need anything, come to me, and don't invent the wheel, because there might be something that I know that you don't know.
Right. Wow. Thank you. What would you say to young Caryne if she was listening right now?
I would say read. Read, because that's the only way that you can grow. And that's the only way that you can change, you know, and growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to be different. So if you're able to read, that's how you're able to, you know, to get the ideas that God has put in your head. That's how you're going to know what is happening around you. And when you read things that build you intellectually, that build you in the areas where you want to grow. Having known that once you're aware of yourself, now you've identified the areas that you want to grow, now read in those areas and educate yourself.
Wow, amazing. Thank you. And I like that you said that, because we come into a generation where we're using a lot of technology, and a lot of us are foregone the books. Even if we have books on on our technology, we don't even engage. So I think reading is fundamental. It's definitely amazing to read.
Funny you should say that, Tracy, because I used to do a lot of audiobook reading,
Uh-huh.
but I found out that I would not, maybe this is just me, I would not be able to remember 80% of it. So I feel like when I sit down with the book and read it, I'm able to, write stuff down, I'm able to highlight, and so it sticks with me more.
Right.
And that's why every single time I'm in church, if the pastor is reading the scripture, I'm looking at it and I'm circling, because that's me reading and me remembering and having
Wow.
a picture and visual.
Wow. So one last question is, what is one thing on your vision board or expectation card that you are excited about this year?
So I am excited about, having a relationship with God this year.
Okay.
This year, I'm really looking forward to, every moment of the day talking with God, and not necessarily having to find that devotion time, but just surround myself every minute with Him and just truly realize that I can do nothing without Him.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So we're going to go into a fun round. This is going to be our lightning round. We're going to ask you questions. Try to answer them as fast as you can.
Okay.
So the first question is, would you consider yourself a servant of God, a friend of God, a man after God's heart, or marvelously helped by God?
I would consider myself a servant of God because I'm transitioning to a man after God's own heart.
Okay, amazing. So you're a Job in this situation. If you could give someone a book to read, what would it be and why?
It would have to be Today Matters
Okay.
by John C. Maxwell, because it just tells you that the things you do today determine who you'll be tomorrow. Yesterday doesn't matter. What you did yesterday doesn't count. What you're doing today is a seed that you're planting for tomorrow.
Wow, amazing, amazing. If you could have a message on a billboard, what would it say?
It would be to live in the moment. Because I am one of the people, and as I drive down across that billboard, I'm going to be living in the moment, because I'm the person who plans my next step before my current step is finished. So definitely live in the moment.
Amazing, thank you. And my last question is, what is the best advice someone has ever given you?
It would be the enemy of good is perfect. Because when you try to perfect something, you're never going to start. You're always going to be thinking you're not ready.
Wow.
And so just go ahead and do it. Just Nike it. Do it. Just do it.
Just Nike it.
Just do it.
Well, thank you all. It's been an amazing time interviewing you. This has been marvelous, and just getting to know you, and I'm quite sure everybody is blessed and amazed that just the things that you have to say. It was a great time.
Thank you
was
so much for having me.
Exceeded my expectations. It was nothing less than I expected. I definitely thank you for this.
Thank you so much. I look forward to more interviews for you in this space.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank God.